Hello, everyone, and welcome to Get Real with Jack and Cindy. I'm Cindy Morrison.
And I'm Jack Wallace. Welcome, welcome. We're glad you're here.
We are glad you're here.
So Cindy's going to be teaching a class for our company coming up next week. And little fun fact, we were the first two AI certified real estate professionals in Oklahoma.
In Oklahoma, we were one of the first 100 in the country, in the world.
Yeah.
But
It's
the
very
first two in
interesting.
Oklahoma. And you think about that, that was February 2023.
So it's not been that long ago. Yeah, it's been 2 years. But and it was interesting. We were talking about sort of the differences in when we learned and how mind expanding it was for us, because it was really kind of the beginning. I mean, it was interesting because ChatGPT actually came out the same week that we started our training.
Yes, it did.
I mean, that's hard to believe that, but that's actually the truth, that it just came out at the same time.
Hit my silence button here on my computer if I can find it. There we go. Now
so
we
didn't learn how to do silence on our computer though. So anyways, but no, so it's what has happened in the last 2 years is really kind of astounding. And
yeah, because when we learned ChatGPT, it couldn't even go on the internet and double check things. Remember, it had
that's right.
It had a memory
2 years
stop
back. Yeah,
It had a memory stop somewhere in 2021. So it knew everything before that. It just didn't know anything after that.
Which is difficult when you're talking about real-time real estate markets. I mean, that was where it was a limitation as far as the practical use of it in pricing and real-time market analysis, but that's not the case anymore.
Right. Now it has an in-depth research tool that you and I have
really crazy good. Yeah. And when you pay for a lot of the things we pay for, it's not the free version. The free version you can do a lot, but we pay for the more extensive version. And the other thing too is now there's Gemini and there's all those different ones, and they all kind of have different things that are good,
different personalities.
Yeah, I do like the one that when you're in Internet Explorer, you can go to the sidebar and use, which is really great. So I think there's a lot of things that are really coming around and happening, and it's so quick that how it's happening. But the one thing that was really interesting to me was that and we're going to get into a lot more what she's going to cover in the class, because it'll be kind of a good synopsis for people, but also it'll be good because I think for people that are wanting to use AI just in your general use for your business, whether you're in real estate or not, there's just so many things that it can do. Really what it does for me is it takes the redundant work away, and it lets me do things that I can really focus on what it is that gets the house sold, what it is that gets my job done, and not have to deal with so many things that I don't need to. It didn't need to take a lot of time, but it just did.
You're not sitting behind the computer all the time doing your marketing and all of these things. It gets you out in front of people and actually doing your job.
Right. Which has always been the catch-22 of real estate, because, you spend so much time behind the computer doing all this, and then you have to be out there doing what we really do. And let's face it, being out there doing what we really do is what gets the things done and houses sold, but you have to have the other. So the one thing that's really interesting is that we used to, and one thing that we learned pretty early on, which was kind of the thing that kind of gave us a jump ahead of other realtors at the time, was how to train the AI, how to train the GPT.
ChatGPT.
What in the heck?
And who named that? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, but how to train your chat so that it knew what it is you were wanting. So like,
because if not, you would get something like Shakespeare. Wherefore art thou, Juliet? I mean, that's not
right, because it's just taking what you give it and it's balancing out what it's answering. So you had to say, from the perspective of a person who is looking at luxury property in this price point, in this market, what are their pain points? What are their desires? What would be the things that would be appealing to them? All those things that you kind of list out. And then you say, okay, now write an advertisement, or write a Facebook post, or write an email, or write, and had all that information. But then when you took that away and you went to the next time, you had to come back and do it again. So you kind of save blocks of descriptors to put in there. Well, over time, now ChatGPT,
we're just going to chat for short,
is now remembering all that. And so you can have like a real estate stream, or you can have a personal stream, or you can have, and it's kind of remembering those things.
It's actually, I've gone in there because when we first got certified, and my husband was like, "Oh my gosh, Cindy, what are you doing now?"
Yeah,
And
it wasn't cheap.
and it wasn't cheap. And
it's so worth it.
and I kind of took you kicking and screaming, but you
Because
trusted
I hate
me.
spending money.
Yeah, but you trusted me, and
I
both of
did.
us were just elated once we finished this of the possibilities.
And we've taken other things even recently that I wasn't that thrilled with.
No. But that's why we spend the money, so then we can tell you what really works,
Yeah,
right?
and this was mind. It just put us in a different frame of mind. I don't think you and I have been afraid of AI the way other people were for so long, because we kind of understood what it did and what it didn't do.
Right.
So we
And
weren't
it's
trying
not
to
going,
find that out.
because I hear agents all the time, AI is going to replace this. AI will never replace a person.
Let me tell you something. If AI replaces you, then you're replaceable.
Yes.
I mean, that's the way I feel. If AI replaces you, that's kind of like saying a hammer is going to replace a carpenter. No, you are a carpenter. You have to learn how to use the hammer correctly.
And you're also the one that's learning how to invoice. And you're also the one that's talking with the client and showing them what they can do. I mean, there's so many more aspects to, and this isn't just for real estate agents, but for small businesses, there's so many more aspects to what you do. And we're all in the people business.
Right.
And if you forget we're in the people business, yes, you are replaceable by AI or anyone else out there.
That's so true. And so anything that we can do or I can do that will put me in front of people and in someone's ear instead of behind a computer screen, I want to do. And
Absolutely.
so, and I think that's kind of where we are with it right now. I mean, who knows where it will morph, but to me, it's kind of like the difference between a carpenter who uses a hammer and one who uses a nail gun. I mean, like you're getting the job done the same, but it's just so much more efficient, and maybe you can get more houses built, or you can do more things, or just do it better. And I will say, I love what it does, but I always have to refine it.
Oh, yes. For anybody out there listening who loves ChatGPT or any kind of AI, never just clip, copy, paste, and publish. I always clip, copy, paste into my notes, go in and refine it, and then clip, copy, and paste it somewhere. Because if it doesn't know the answer, a lot of times, not just ChatGPT, but AI will make it up. And I have a perfect example.
Isn't it called daydreaming or something, or
I've heard that.
hallucinating? It's
Yeah,
hallucinating. Yeah.
So perfect example.
I can relate.
Jack and I were doing a podcast. We finished, we stopped, end recording. And somehow it had not gotten punched on. So when I was ending the recording, it was actually starting the recording. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
And we both cracked up. I mean, it was quite a viral moment. It's a lot of people enjoyed that video of us figuring out that we had not the last 40 minutes recorded a podcast.
And it was so good.
It was the best podcast
It was the best
ever.
podcast you never heard.
So I went into when I was, I thought, oh, this will be a great promo to just show how we get along. And, we never take ourselves too seriously. And I went in there and I said, yeah, Jack and I, had a faux pas, thought we pushed play. We're laughing, write me a description for this. And it's like, well, it was really funny when you told Jack this joke, and it came up with a joke, and Jack thought that was hilarious. Like, it came up with this whole dialogue, and I was like, okay.
Which that is a little scary.
What alternate universe was ChatGPT in?
Or where were we when that happened? Yeah. It could have happened. I don't know.
So you have to be aware that if it doesn't know it, sometimes it will make it up.
And what I do typically is I have it do something, then I even take that, read it, and then I go back, put it in, and say, redo this, but emphasize this, de-emphasize this. And I mean, I'll have it kind of keep doing it a few times, and then I take what it does finally, and then I edit it. And
right.
It sounds like a lot of work, but it's so much better than what I would just sit down from the beginning and do. It really is. And I think it's, it is funny because like let's say for listing descriptions, I mean, it's so obvious when you read that most of them are written by it, and that's okay. I mean, like I think it's becoming a sort of a new standard of how you write it. But like, what was that? It used to use the word all the time. Oh gosh, it was
charming, which means small.
It was even, I don't know. It was a word like boast. That was boast. Oh, this house boasts. Who uses boast? But it's like now suddenly we do, because all the listing description will say boasts a beautiful master bedroom, or boasts. I mean, like that's one of those first things I cut out, and I even put it a couple of times. Do not use the word boast.
Yeah.
or both, because it's so obvious, that it is. But it's like, at the same time, if it can do a better job, I think that's an ego thing. If it can do a better job for me than I can do, and that's the better product for the client, and it's going to describe the house better, I'm all about it. Like, I don't know why people want it to be only written by humans.
I won an Emmy for investigative reporting. I'm a damn good writer. Let me just tell you, ChatGPT makes me better.
Isn't that interesting?
So it's still me.
It's like having an editor.
So let's back up a little bit. Okay. So when we're talking about AI, for somebody who is an agent and they're like, I don't think I want to do this. Like, I don't understand it.
Okay.
First of all, ChatGPT and a lot of these are out there where you can put your thoughts in there, and whether it be an uncomfortable text that you're sending to a client, whether it be a listing presentation, whatever it may be, it can help you refine your thoughts to actually, sometimes we get in our own way and we either put too much emotion into it or we just can't come up with the words.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so smart. It's, it's like a rocket scientist. It's past the bar.
It's non-emotional.
And it's non-emotional. So it kind of takes some of that out of it. And I'll even tell it, I'm really upset about this issue. I need to pull my emotions out of it.
Oh, interesting.
And I need it to be more of a neutral ground when I send this text, this email, whatever.
Oh, that is interesting.
And it has helped me tremendously, because in fact, we just did a class at 𝐁𝐿𝐓 on the whole DISC thing, your personality. And of course I'm a high I. Shocking. I know.
I've never done it.
What?
I've never done it.
Okay. Yeah. I'm calling out there somebody who does that. Maybe we need to have Bill Bupre or somebody, but yes. Okay. Well, anyway,
Just Jack.
For those, just Jack. So for those of you who've done it before, I'm a high I, and there was a reason why I was headed down that.
I am not high today.
Oh, where was I? We so digress and fall down the rabbit hole.
Well, I was laughing earlier because you were saying that about Sarah. Whenever one day we were here, we were talking about how, like, putting in funny things in chat, like, how do you tell people go screw off or whatever, like, but in a business way. And then it was giving us answers. It was like so funny because it's kind of the same thing. Like, what you want to communicate and how you want to communicate, then but do it in a very nice professional way. And it does. I mean, so really,
clients and bosses, it'll make you a winner. I promise.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can actually be emotional, but tell it to be non-emotional to take it out.
Yes. Yes. So you can go in as there's ChatGPT, there's Gemini, there's probably 10 or 12 of them now.
Oh yeah. And they're all good. And I think some of them are better than others for, different professions or for different, what you're trying to accomplish. I do like chat just because because we started
and that's
with
what we trained on.
So I think that's really, it makes sense to me. Yeah.
So one of the first things I teach, pick your poison, whichever one you're going to use. So let's stick with chat since that's what we know best. And I switched over to Gemini for a little while when chat was still having problems searching the internet, but now I'm fully back. But anyway, if you will look in the settings, you can now go in, which it couldn't when we first learned.
It's so much better.
You can go in and you say, I'm Cindy Morrison. I'm a real estate agent. And it will say, tell us, whoever us is, tell chat about you, and you write things, and then it'll say, what kind of conversation do you have? So like for me, it's of course witty, creative, girl next door. I mean, I want mine to be very relatable. But if you're a professor, you might not want it that way. So you figure out what your voice is. Yeah. Figure out what your voice is. I mean, my thing is, don't dumb it down, but I look at the news when, you had 30-minute broadcasts to get things across, and maybe you had 30 seconds, you were talking about one story. It better be very precise and understandable. You know
what? I just thought of this as we're speaking, because I think it's something to think about. What you also could probably do, I've not done this, let me say that first, is saying to it, I would like to train you to understand me and my voice.
You can do that.
You can communicate ask me the questions that would be helpful to you for me to establish who I am, my values, my mission statement, and go forward and let it do that work. I mean, that's what's so great about ChatGPT. Sometimes we try to make it so complicated, and when you get really simple and ask it to do the big task, it will help you do it.
And let me tell you how huge this is. When I had my social media business, every time we worked with a client, my social media manager, Tiana, out of Nashville, and I would spend a month putting together a strategy for that client.
Wow.
We would
I remember you did for us.
Yeah. We would do a 2-hour interview, find out everything about them, find their voice, who their ideal client is, and not just clients that make you money.
You're not doing that anymore.
Exactly right. That would be obsolete. But if you're building the wagon wheel and the car comes out, you better be the best wagon wheel maker ever, or switch over to automobiles. But anyway, we would spend all this time, 2-hour presentation of everything it is, and somebody would walk away with a strategy. You can do that now. I mean, by the time you talk back and forth with ChatGPT, you could have that put together in 10 minutes. It took us a month.
It's really crazy. I just did the deep research one and did that, and you're limited in how many you can do in a month. So I did and I actually found this on Instagram. I'll send it to you, but it's like, put in, this is what you want to do. But it basically is establishing who you are, your value station, blah, blah. And then it writes out and very in depth of what your demographic audience would be. One of the things that I had put is that now at this point in my career, that I'm kind of more the surrogate dad in the real estate world, like for both the other realtors that I'm dealing with and with my clients, that now I'm on that kind of level. And I like that. I mean, it's a nice position to be in, but how does my voice in my advertising and in my approach need to match up to that in all of my Facebook? And I think, and it came up with great stuff. I mean, it's kind of conversation starting for yourself. I mean, you're definitely going to have to do it. But I thought that was so interesting, because it's like that refining. And then that was, like you said, get to know yourself and be able to be honest. But it's like, that is kind of where I am now, and that's kind of the way that and so it's like, you've been doing this for so long, and my age and my experience level kind of puts me in that category. So then how do I go about making that my voice whenever I am putting stuff on social media, or,
And this is where the prompts are so important.
The prompts.
What you write in there and what you ask it to do.
And a prompt, for anyone who doesn't know, because some people are not going to know, a prompt is when you say, basically, hey, chat, this is what I'd like you to do. Do it in this way. It's how you ask it the question is your prompt.
Yes. So let's say you said, you typed in there, or you can speak and actually have a conversation back and forth. So let's say you put in there,
and you can do it verbally now.
I'm wanting to find my voice, how I, as a real estate agent or small business owner, whatever you do, how can I set myself apart? And it'll answer you back. Okay, well, I, am this age, I've done it this long, you kind of go through, and it will go back and forth and help you actually go through. But the more you question it, this morning I had it come up with something, and I just didn't like the hook, because, in Instagram, you have 3 seconds to catch people, or they're on to the next thing. And I didn't like the hook. So I kept questioning. I was like, but I need something snazzier. Like, I need something that, like, those first 3 or 4 words are going to jump out. And I kept asking it. And it's interesting, because I came back for another marketing piece later, and it had learned what I wanted and did that on the next one. So every time you're giving it
really
a piece,
cool.
piece of information,
that's really cool.
It's learning that. So
to think that we have that access now is crazy. Like, sometimes I'm just sort of amazed at how quickly I can do some things that used to take me forever to do. But what I'm finding now is that it allows me to do so much more thinking and approaching it and fine tuning it than I used to do. Because used to, you would drive yourself, like, that perfection is the enemy of productivity kind of thing. Like, because I would be so afraid I'm not getting it just so right and it would take me so long that I would wait a long time to get things out. Where now you can do that same amount of damage control and fine tuning in 15 or 20 minutes instead of 2 days. So that means that you get that piece of material or that whatever out and done. So I think to me, that's what's so great is I think the end result is better, but I think it's probably similar, but it's about 20 times faster.
Yes.
And I do think that I probably allow myself to go into a much better way of how you approach things than I used to, because it allows you that, and it also questions you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. And when you're thinking of AI and you think, why is this just now available? AI has been around for a long time.
Oh yeah. Alexa. How long have you had Alexa or Siri?
Or, Netflix. That's how Netflix gives you suggestions of stuff to watch. Me too. Oh, we need to talk. At the end, we need to talk about our favorites. Yeah. But, it's been around in the business world for a long time. It just was released to us, the consumers, on this kind of level, 2.5 years ago.
Right.
So it is,
which is really kind of a democratization of the free market in a way, because it is like we are now things that used to big research companies could afford, but we couldn't. Now we have at our disposal. It's kind of crazy.
And even though it's not human, I have to ask you this, because I'm just a please and thank you person. I find every time I'm writing it out, could you please
Oh my God, that is so funny. Oh God, this is the best story. So John's mother, whenever Siri first came out, John was doing a concert in Oklahoma City at the Philharmonic, and she went with some friends of ours down to see him, and they were trying to figure out where the Civic Center was downtown. And so she pulls out her phone and she says, "Hey, it'll do it. Hey Siri, honey, if it's not too much trouble, now, if you have a minute, would you mind just ever so kindly do it?" And finally my friend goes, "Oh my God, just ask the question. Just ask the question."
But you know what? If Siri ever takes over, she's going to remember that.
I love it.
But
Siri,
I do.
If it's not a problem, would you mind?
Oh my gosh. But you can do so let's talk about kind of what I teach in the class, everything that you can do with it. So this is from writing a property description. If you look at my link tree, which is Linktree, and my name is Realtor Cindy Morrison, and I have probably 50 different freebies there for people. That's from, here's a seller's concession sheet, here's how to stage, here's everything you can imagine is in there for clients. And almost all of that has been generated by AI.
And then refined by you.
Yes. Correct. But now you can even take it a step further. It can create pictures for you,
which is so cool. Yeah.
You have to be super careful because sometimes it'll put, 6 fingers and 2 thumbs.
But they look so, the fingers look a little weird at times, but no, the pictures are really, really good. And I was doing that a year ago. Remember, I was doing that like jump for, I ended up using like a year's worth of subscription in like 5 days because I just had to do so much. And now that I think it's so much better than it was, but it was crazy good then.
Yeah.
Really crazy good. No, and that, so okay, freebies.
So, and I'm hoping, like I just did new headshots the other day. I'm looking forward to when AI actually can produce ones that do look real. They still look a little creepy. But I can just go, hey, change my jacket. Hey, change, and then I don't have to.
I think it's funny though, because I see people that are online now and they put as their like profile picture, their AI picture. I'm like, no. Yeah. That is not anyone's skin. Sorry. But no, I think it's great. And I think that, so the property description is a great one. And and the other thing too, if you are a realtor, there's nothing wrong if you like writing your own property descriptions and writing your description, feeding it in and asking it to edit it in a way that makes sense and is concise or will appeal.
So let me take it even a step further. One of the things when I do descriptions, so let's say it's a luxury property.
Okay.
I'll tell it, use words that would attract a luxury buyer. Because, we can't go into fair housing. We can't talk about, pick a man versus a woman or this age or that age. But, use words that would attract somebody who is used to the finer things in life, not fancy words, just words that would make them salivate. And I swear some of the words that it comes up with, which are just common, they're not anything out of control, but I've seen people gravitate toward those posts and toward those descriptions when I give it a lot more information about who I'm trying to attract.
See, and I do the same thing, but instead of doing like I will say similar to a buyer of a Mercedes or a Lexus or a Rolex.
Yes.
Like, because
That's
then
great.
it kind of like gives you it's looking at an example of the type of demographic buyer and what they are looking for and what they're, because the truth is we're selling ideology and we're selling dreams. I mean, you're selling property, but in that respect, you can buy a house for $100,000 or you can buy it for 22 million. So what is the difference? It's,
right.
It's those things.
And we do the same thing with the pictures. And sorry, my allergies are crazy today.
The wildfires.
But it's the same thing with pictures, with your description, with your videos. You're always trying to make that property not misrepresent it, but have it look its best. So property descriptions, it could be, let's say you wanted to send a text message to your clients about a change that's just happened in the market. You can explain the change and say, give me a short text message to send to clients that's personable, that explains what's going on, and they can call if they want more information. Emails,
like
instead of having the same at the very first of the month, happy May, happy April, April showers, whatever it is, instead of being like everybody else, you can have it write an email that is really from you, help it come up with a subject line. Say, I want a subject line that people are more likely to open. And what I usually do is I say, give me 3 to 5 examples, because then I want to pick one.
Yeah. So it's not like we used to where you would be able to do keywords, because now you're really not supposed to do that anymore. So now you have to kind of do a workaround a little bit on that.
Yes.
It's like what's going to get people's attention. But I do think it's interesting, the whole, there's a company here in town, I won't name names, but like every time there's a holiday or whatever, I get 7 emails from them, because there's 7 different people at that company. And to me,
mortgage companies too.
That's who it is.
Oh, okay.
So that's interesting though, because it's like, and that's fine. I mean, and most people have one mortgage person, so that makes sense. But for like me, I'm almost kind of like, okay, well, that was just auto sent. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't. And so sometimes find those things that you're kind of blanket sending like that, but it doesn't come off auto send.
Yes. And I wouldn't send it out on the first. I would take that copy and send it out on the 5th or the 10th, or even the 2nd or the 3rd. And I would say, take this. This is a mass email that everybody at my company is sending. Change it up for my personality.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Like I said, give me an opening line that people will actually want to open it, and make it more about them in your voice than you're just sending it out because the company provided
Okay, so
it.
let's back up just a little bit.
Okay.
So we talked before we were on camera, because you had sent me something that was so interesting on Instagram, talking about how.
By the way, we do this all the time. We send each other.
You only see hear a very short version of what's really we talk about and do. So the whole idea of really going a deep dive with ChatGPT as to who you are, your voice, your vision, your morals, your all those things, so that it truly understands who you are when it writes communication. So like I do that thing where I'll be it's probably annoying as hell to some of the people on treadmill, but every now and then I'll be on the treadmill. If I'm kind of off to my own side, I'm doing a walk, I'll have my earphones in and I'll do the one like the Tony Robbins coaching and have it, work with me on an idea that I'm having and just talk it through. And it's crazy. I mean, and the voice has gotten so much better.
Oh, I haven't done it with someone's voice.
It's so much better now. Like you really start feeling like it's going to be interesting how like it's going to probably heal
how he
some
feels about
lonely-
it.
Well, he's okay with it, but I don't use Tony Robbins actually, but it's like I always say in the
That-
style of Tony Robbins. I mean, like whoever, or Marianne Williamson, or whatever, whoever you want to.
There's a whole Black Mirror.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever watched Black Mirror, if you've ever watched that series, but there's a whole thing on actresses being replaced.
Yeah, it's scary, and I know, and
AI.
I have a lot of good friends who are actresses and actors, and it is scary. But the whole idea basically of it being and you can just use a generic voice if you want to too, but it's like coaching you on certain things, and so it's interesting because you could do the same thing, but be more on I'm trying to get you to understand who I am. So when we communicate in the future, whenever I have you write things for me, when I have you do things, I want it to feel more like me. So I need you to get to know me.
And it remembers it.
Yeah. I
mean,
it's
sometimes
scary.
I can't remember my own name, but it remembers everything about
I can
me.
see where people would be a little scared and a little freaked out by that. But, I'm old, so I don't really care because by the time it would have any impact, I'll be dead. But
well, and I even use it. We've talked about this once before on the podcast, but I had a client that was extremely difficult, and I'm emotional. Oh, that's what we were talking about earlier. I had totally got off. But if you're a high I on the disc, emotions are part of you. So you need to be aware of that. But I was very emotional and hurt. And first of all, I called 𝐉𝐚𝐜 and said, walk me through this. And then as I was driving home, I just had a conversation with Chat about, give me some ways I can answer back to this person when they say this. Give me some answers. And so we were having a whole dialogue on the way back.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And it kept it all for me. So then I turned around, clip copied it, and I sent it to Cheryl. And Cheryl was like, dang, that's good. I'm like, it
really
was
is
great.
Crazy. Yeah. But I mean, it's taking, the whole world of psychology and sociology and at its fingertips. I mean, it's pretty crazy. I will say though, that to me, that was the most kind of a recent aha, was like, I don't think I've spent enough time doing that.
Yes.
Because it's almost like it's a very generic, give me this. And so it comes off the same as everybody else's. But I really have noticed since I started doing a little bit more of that, things are coming out much more like me.
Right. Well, let me give you an example of the post I did today. So I have two new first-time home buyers who we both had multiple offer situations for both of them. We got the property.
Fun.
Yeah, exactly. Winning. And so I wanted to do a post, but now I've got two pending posts, which one thing that I always do is I say, here, I'm so excited to work with this listing agent. I always make sure and name them on there as well. But I wanted to do two different pending posts, but I wanted them to look very different. So one of them, I said, give me the steps, which I know the steps, but let's make it super easy and fun. Give me the steps that you're going to go through from the moment you put in your offer till you close. And so it gave me those steps. And for the second one, I said, okay, give me 5 things. If you're wanting to buy a home that you can do to get there faster. So there are 2 pending posts. Yes. But they come with information for the people who follow me. So
how do you make it where it doesn't just come across of look what I've done to look what I've done and let me help you?
And we've talked about this before. In news, we always did WIFM, what's in it for me? If you think about it as a viewer of TV news, they're going to want to know the weather. They want to know, hey, has this crime happened near their neighborhood?
And I even think that just in defense of what we do, I think the one thing you have to remember too is when we put those sold, closed, blah, blah, blah. Yes, it's saying, look, I'm still doing this. This is what I do. But it's also kind of a saying, showing the market is moving. The market. I mean, when you see a lot of people
market moving right now,
but it's moving in different ways. Like some price points are still taking a while, or the price has to be right. So yeah, but I think that's really important that people understand. Like it's not just about braggy. There is, it is promotion, but it's also education that this is what's happening in the market.
And I'm sorry for those of you who are watching me on video. I'm trying to set up a showing, and it was accepted, and then now all of a sudden it's canceled. So I'm like,
Oh.
okay, so we never get a chance to stop. But all right, so back to besides chat or things that
There's
you
some
do.
things AI can't cure.
No, it cannot. So when you hear the table vibrate, that's hello. So okay, so other ways that you can use it. So coaching, for descriptions, for helping you come up, like I love to do carousel Instagram posts, which means you see the one picture and then you swipe through. So the way to get people to swipe through is to tell a whole story. Well, now you have up to 20 swipe throughs, 20 carousel pictures to get that through to them. So
it's kind of like there once was a realtor from Tulsa.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. 99 bottles of beer on the wall, So, but you want it to be engaging. So sometimes it's hard, okay, I want to do, let's say between 8 and 12 carousel posts that is really meaningful. And so I'll say, I have a seller who's gotten multiple offers. So let's walk through what that process looks like of picking what is the seller can pick the best offer for them.
And it's not just price.
Not just price.
Everyone always thinks it's just price, and it's not. I mean, price is the big one.
We just won one, not because we had the best price, but because it was half cash, half conventional loan, and a 3-week close. Mm-hmm. So they were like, "Ooh, let's be done."
You have no idea what's important to the seller. And so your offer is your best foot forward, what you can do. And the seller, sorry, I'm going on a tangent, but that's what, everyone just thinks, oh, this is just price. And I mean, I've had other realtors I gave you the best price. I'm sure you didn't get better than that. And first of all, a lot of times they didn't. I got a better price. Right. But also, but you were, you were doing conventional financing. The other person's a cash with no appraisal. I mean, so, you did the math.
So when you're sitting, you want to come up with a post like this, you want to educate people, and you forget a step. So this is where you can say, okay, I want to do, everything they should be considering. Each carousel picture will be one more thing to consider. One more thing to consider. Dang, I'm doing this post tomorrow. One more thing to consider. And that way they're swiping through and they're getting great information as they do it.
Right.
So we're
getting into that kind of market. So people are going, they've lost 2 or 3 houses and they're like, well, what do I do to make it better?
Yeah. Yes. Or, you're new, you're going to be a first-time home buyer. What are the 10 things you can do to get ready to do this in 30 days? Whatever it is you come up with. But ChatGPT will help you line those out. Then you can say, and I've done this several times for my buyer Envision. I do this on almost all of their posts. Okay, well, give me a great sentence for each one of those. And then I can describe more in the description, or it'll just help me get all of those things organized. So when you're coming up with good educational things, and if you remember when we talked about social media the other day, you've got your branding piece, you've got your educational piece, you've got, now I have to remember, your community piece, and then things that are bookmarkable, viral-ish, things that are fun. Mm-hmm. So that education piece needs to be really heavy, because even when you're branding, like I did with the pending post, I also had the education piece that made it interesting for somebody to learn more, not just about a property going pending.
But that also makes sense, because if you're educating the public, you're showing your knowledge base and how you can help them through knowledge and through expertise, instead of just